If you weren't talking about how the Super Bowl ended this morning, you were probably talking about the commercials. Off the gridiron, it can be a bit more difficult to tell who won and lost, but luckily, the head of Richmond ad agency Madison Main, Dave Saunders, is here to talk about who the winners and losers were. Dave, welcome as always.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, tell me, is there an overall theme, before we get into the specifics, did you have a takeaway from the evening, like what the theme would have been this year?
I was thinking about it earlier, and I think the theme is sadvertising.
There was plenty of that in it, very sentimental, too.
Yeah, lots of sad stuff, and it wasn't the normal kind of stuff that we've come to expect during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like usually they have the beer commercials and the cars, and everything's fast and funny. And this time we had talking about women and throw like a girl and walk like a girl, sort of empowering, and dad standing up. And of course that sad one we'll talk about.
Yeah, it really shows a reflection of how the audience has changed over the years. 10 years ago, 2/3 of the audience was male. Now it's about half and half.
A victory for the NFL right there, especially given some of the negative publicity they've had. All right, some of the winners you were talking about earlier, Budweiser. Everybody loves a puppy. Everybody loves those horses. Somebody was saying this is the only one where there was no voiceover track. No, there was just the animated one with the dog where they go back and find the dog. Right.
Well, they went back to the puppy and the Clydesdales again, and they scored a big hit. This was a minute long, a little bit longer to tell a story. They told the story, and they did it in a really unique way. Last year's big theme was animals. I mean, there was like an animal or a puppy or something in every single ad, it seemed like.
Right.
That kind of carried on to this year. A lot of those trends from last year carried on. Budweiser was one of those companies that pulled it off.
All right, how about Dodge? You were talking about that before, too, as well.
100-year-old people, talking about a new product and celebrating Dodge's 100th year in business. I thought it worked really well. It was emotional, it was funny, it was well delivered, and some of the language was spicy as well.
And you don't typically see 100-year-old people in commercials. Usually it's a younger demo, it would seem there. Okay, how about Loctite? An unusual, obviously it's quick, it's fast moving, it's got some music.
30 seconds, $4.5 million, and a really wise investment because nobody had ever heard of Loctite until yesterday, 24 hours ago. And now the world's talking about this super glue. Real fun stuff. It looked like an ad shot on a white screen. It really wasn't produced for a big budget. It was a small agency out of Minneapolis that did this, and everybody's talking about the ad.
Swung for the fences and achieved it. Okay, let's talk about one of the sadder ones that kind of stopped me. I saw it when it aired, the Nationwide ad in which a boy over voiceover describes some things and then says, I didn't get to do it because I got killed, I died in a car accident.
Once in a while, companies swing for the fences and they completely strike out, and I think that Nationwide is probably looking for a new ad agency today because it was that bad. You go to the party, and the party gets water dumped all over it. And I mean, there's one thing to be emotional in the ads.
Right.
There's another thing to completely stop all the fun. And the way that it was executed wasn't very good. And, if you're talking about insurance, it's not a real, a great subject anyway, but when you factor in children dying,
I mean,
it's just...
And speaking of insurance, Geico always seems to make you laugh, too. So anyway, all right, well, we're out of time, sadly. We could talk about it all day long.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dave Saunders, Madison Main, thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
All right, let's send it over to Mike.
All right, Bill, we